Months passed, and Emily's world began to change in quiet, beautiful ways. She started smiling more, walking taller, and designing with passion again. Daniel had become her calm, her reason to believe that maybe love wasn't something she had to earn by changing herself. But one evening, as she and Daniel entered a high-profile charity gala, old fears crept back in. Flashing cameras, elegant gowns, men in tuxedos, Emily suddenly felt small again. Whispers started the moment they walked in. "That's Daniel Walker's girlfriend?" Someone muttered. "He could have anyone." Emily froze, her heartbeat loud in her ears. "Daniel, maybe I shouldn't be here." He turned to her, eyes soft but firm. "Emily, you belong everywhere I do. You hear me?" Before she could answer, he stepped onto the stage. The crowd hushed as Daniel took the mic. "I'd like to say something before tonight's donation begins," he said. "This event is about kindness, and I want to talk about the woman who taught me what that truly means." Every head turned toward Emily. She felt her chest tighten. "When I met her," Daniel continued, "she said something that broke my heart. She said, 'No one marries a fat girl.' Sir. But standing here today, I can tell you she's wrong. Because I will." The room gasped. Emily's breath caught. Daniel smiled, his voice unwavering. "Emily, you showed me what real love looks like. Brave, imperfect, honest. And if the world can't see your worth, that's their loss, not yours." He stepped down from the stage, walked straight to her, and knelt. "Let's prove them all wrong once and for all." Tears filled her eyes as her hands trembled in his. "Daniel, are you serious?" He grinned. "Dead serious. Marry me, Em." The crowd erupted in applause, but Emily didn't hear any of it. All she saw was the man who looked at her like she was already enough. She nodded, whispering through her tears. "Let's prove them wrong." He slipped the ring onto her finger, kissed her hand, and the world around them seemed to fade. That night, Emily realized, true love doesn't wait for perfection. It begins when you finally believe you deserve it. And together they did prove everyone wrong. Weeks passed after that first date, but the memory of Daniel's words stayed with Emily like a spark she couldn't put out. He texted her the next day, then called, then showed up with coffee outside her office. It wasn't forced or grand. It was real. Daniel didn't care about fancy dinners. He liked long walks, bookstores, street food, and how Emily laughed so hard she had to cover her face. For the first time in years, she felt enough, but not everyone saw it that way. When Daniel brought her to a company event, whispers followed them like shadows. Women in designer dresses glanced at Emily, their smiles sharp and fake. "She's cute," one murmured, "for a big girl." Emily heard it. She always heard it. Later that night, she tried to pull away. "Daniel, you don't have to do this," she said quietly. "People talk. They'll think you're with me out of pity." He looked at her for a long moment before taking her hand. "Emily, I don't care what they think. I care about what makes me feel alive. And that's you." Tears burned in her eyes, but she smiled through them. "You really believe that?" Daniel nodded. "Love isn't measured in sizes, Emily. It's measured in truth." Still, her insecurities weren't easy to erase. One afternoon, she stood in front of her mirror, tracing her reflection with trembling fingers. Why would someone like him choose me? And as if the universe heard her, a message pinged on her phone. "Daniel, I'm downstairs. Don't make me come up there and drag my beautiful girlfriend to dinner." Her heart swelled. Beautiful girlfriend, the words she never thought she'd hear. When she stepped outside, Daniel was waiting, holding a single white rose. "Why a white one?" she asked. He smiled. "Because it stands F." The cafe was warm, filled with soft music and the smell of coffee. But Emily's hands were ice cold. She sat by the window, pulling her scarf tighter, trying to hide the parts of herself she always wished were smaller. It was her first blind date in years, something her best friend had forced her into. Then the door opened and he walked in. Daniel Walker, tall, confident, with kind eyes. He spotted her instantly and smiled. "Emily?" She stood awkwardly, nearly knocking her cup over. "Hi, sorry, I'm clumsy." He chuckled softly. "Don't worry, that makes two of us." They started talking about work, hobbies, life. He was a CEO. She was a struggling designer. Two completely different worlds, yet somehow the conversation felt easy. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt seen. until her voice suddenly cracked. You don't have to pretend, you know. Daniel looked up, confused. Pretend? That you're okay being here. I know what people think, she said quietly, staring at her cup. No one marries a fat girl, sir. Silence. She instantly regretted saying it. She waited for the awkward smile, the polite excuse to leave. But Daniel didn't move. He just looked at her, really looked at her, and said softly, Who told you that? Everyone, she whispered. All my life. My ex said I'd be perfect if I lost weight. Daniel leaned closer, his tone steady. Then maybe it's time we prove them wrong. Her heart stopped. What do you mean? He smiled, warm and sure. You and me, Emily. Let's prove them all wrong. For a moment, she couldn't speak. No one had ever said something like that to her before. Without pity, without judgment, just truth. Outside, snow began to fall, quiet and slow, like the world was pausing to watch something beautiful begin.